Hello and welcome to this Q&A. With me are Katie Dignan and Stephen Revell from Lexington Consultants. And we're going to discuss one key aspect of an upcoming Global Legal Post Masterclass series we're holding in association with Lexington Consultants on how to position your law firm to prosper in the post-pandemic era. And we're going to talk about business development. So let's start with Stephen. What is the key ingredient for a successful business development program?
Well, I think there's probably two key ingredients. The first one is getting lawyers in the right frame of mind. I think for too long we've operated on the basis that doing a good job is enough, but that's frankly a given. Clients expect us to do a good job, and actually we need to start thinking about working at the relationships we have with our clients. So recognizing that and changing our attitudes and approach to client relationship building and management, I think, is essential ingredient number one. Essential ingredient number two is actually talking to the clients, and even more importantly, listening to the clients. How do they want to be developed? Clearly, one wouldn't use that word, but what are their real needs? And how can you and your law firm help meet those needs and those challenges? And they want to have that as a conversation where you demonstrate some knowledge and interest of their company, their business, and their challenges. So underpinning that mind shift is actually the need to do a bit of homework before you go in for a discussion with a client. So those two things, I think, are the key essential ingredients.
Katie, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree completely with all of that, which you won't be surprised to hear. But I think from the law firm management point of view, it's very important that there is a process and a system that sits behind all of this. You know, it isn't just about blue sky thinking all the time. The only time you can actually do creative thinking is when you have a process and a system that does all of the grunt stuff that has to happen before it, basically. So you put a process in place to lead to creativity rather than just relying on creativity.
So another challenge, it seems to me, is that law firms, we know that law firms are run by partners. So, and also they're not at the forefront, let's face it, of business development. So how do you attract really good people in that kind of climate? Katie, do you want to kick off on that one?
Yeah, sure. I think it's the most important thing in all of this is honesty. If you're not honest about what you want your BD people to do and the type of people you want to recruit, you will get the wrong sort of person. And again, from the business development person's point of view, they've got to be honest about what they want and what they've done and where they want to go, because you will only find a match between people if you're honest about needs and wants on both sides. But then there's a real need for a proper career path for business development people and for all practice management people. In fact, I think there's a very clear career path for lawyers. You know, they go through trainee, associate, senior associate, etc., etc. There needs to be something similar for people who are in support roles, so that they feel they don't have to switch jobs every 2 years to get a promotion. They need to have something there to aim for. And personally, from my point of view, when I was a junior business development person in law firms about 1,000 years ago, there was no career path. So I had to move around a lot to move up the management scale. So that's quite key as far as I'm concerned. There's also a need for giving some credit as well, and for teamwork, for actually feeling like you are part of a team and working jointly with the lawyers, and your opinion is as valued as somebody with a law degree. And I think that's a mindset. So that's quite difficult to change. But from the BD person's point of view, what they've got to be is very professional then. They've got to prove that they are worth listening to. They've got to have good ideas and have done the research, and to be part of that team, and to sort of live it a bit and believe in the firm.
Stephen, anything to add? You've been the partner listening to a BD person.
I think we're in an interesting phase at the moment, because I think in many law firms, there's a lot of frustrated business development people. I think law firms have realized they need to attract better quality people. And many law firms have gone through that phase, but they're not using them properly. And therefore, the business development professionals are frustrated that they're not being used properly. So I do think a bit of a reset's needed to actually make better use of the talent that many law firms have.
And moves on to another key kind of topic and area is, of course, partners, as part of their job, is to be a salesperson, is to get the work in. So how do you get them working together with BD without BD treading on partners' toes and vice versa?
Well, I think, as I said a moment ago, I think many firms need to actually have a bit of a reset of that relationship. On the one hand, we're telling our partners, we're telling all our associates, go forth and do business development. It's your career track. It's essential for your contribution as a partner. And then somehow separately, we're having conversations with business development about all the sorts of business development processes that they've traditionally been responsible for. And somehow we're not joining the two together properly. We're not having business development groups that support the lawyers going out and do business development. You use the sales word, and yes, it is sales, but I think many lawyers don't like that word. And it isn't as blunt as that, nor indeed as simple as that. It is a more complex exercise to build a relationship that leads to more work. And that can definitely be supported by good business development. But I think we've got business development producing too many lists and too many brochures and too many this and too many that. And we've got to bring it back to the basics of what do we want our lawyers to do and what support do we need to put in place to help them do it.
Katie, any other thoughts on that?
Again, I go back to my initial point, which was about honesty and about making sure that roles and responsibilities are absolutely clear, and that they're rewarding for both sides. So as Stephen says, it isn't just about BD coming up with lists, which are going to be mostly wrong because they're just a list. It's about actually giving people meaningful tasks to do and making sure that everything is done for a reason. It's not just done because that's how we did it 10 years ago.
And how can technology help?
Technology can help enormously. I think it's important to realise that it's not a panacea. It's very much a tool that has to be put into a system that is already working. So you're not going to install a new CRM system and dramatically improve your business development hits. It's not going to happen. Everybody's got to use it. They've got to understand it, and it's got to be part of a system that's already there. It's also key. This business of everybody using it is absolutely fundamental. A database is only as good as the information that's in there, and if the information isn't in there, it's actually slightly more dangerous than having nothing. So you have a reason for everything that goes onto this database, so that it's not just admin for admin's sake. And then a piece of technology become a really powerful tool for a business to use. And Stephen, I know we've talked in the past about using technology as the sort of the nag feature or the prompt to get the lawyers to do stuff. But I didn't know whether you wanted to say a bit more about that.
Yes, I agree with you, Katie. I think there's some interesting tools being developed that can help the process. But I think, as you say, unless lawyers adapt a bit and actually start registering when they've spoken to a client and maybe what was said, so you've got some base information to actually help inform and educate colleagues and business development, any system will struggle. And secondly, I think we can't use technology as an excuse. We've gone through a phase of using lists as an excuse. I need a list of this and a list of that before I can do anything. We've got to get to a point where we're carrying out good business development intuitively because it's the right thing to do, because they're the clients we're responsible for. And doing that with the support of a good business development team, in turn supported by good technology so that there is a bit of a nag system, there is a bit of a feed of information that enables you to do it better. But sitting around waiting for a magic CRM system to fix lawyers, the day will never come. We have to actually just get on with it and then find some good tools to help support it.
Okay, well, just finally, because this masterclass is about the pandemic, or coming out of the pandemic, has the pandemic had an impact on all of this, Katie?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, I think it has thrown it into quite sharp relief because we're all having to do stuff in a box. We're not allowed to leave the front door. So it has made it much harder to have that personal contact that lawyers have relied on, and anybody selling a service has relied on for years and years and years. But, however, it has also made it easier because you can talk to somebody in a different part of the world at any time without them having to get on a plane. So if your client happens to be in the US or Singapore or Sydney, it doesn't matter. You can communicate with them this way via video, and it's become the norm. So my plea to lawyers out there is, for goodness sake, use it. You know, don't be afraid to just set up a quick Zoom or a quick Teams meeting or whatever particular video software you want to use. Have a chat, talk face to face, keep it short, keep it nice, keep it simple, and just do the basics well, and don't bother too much about anything else, but just get FaceTime with people.
Well, I agree with that. I think COVID has maybe given some lawyers an excuse. You know, I can't go and see the client, so I won't bother talking to them. Nothing could be further from what you should be doing. As Katie says, it's actually easier to talk to clients at the moment because there's less travel, they're more of a captive audience. So pick up the Zoom, pick up the telephone, talk to clients. The other thing that I think has been challenging during COVID is it's much harder, I think, for a business development team to work from home than it is lawyers doing legal work. And I think some law firms need to rethink how they're using their business development professionals during this period of working from home so that they are poised when we all get back into the office. And I think, broadly speaking, we will end up back in offices. But finding ways of better using business development during this period and the period after.
Katie, Stephen, thanks very much. And there'll be more details about how to sign up for our masterclass on the screen shortly.